Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning podcast brought to you commercial free by another podcast. You've subscribed to ours, now subscribe to theirs. It's the Slow County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze. When you're done with this, go listen to something that will actually enrich your life. California DRE 01111
So I ran across this list of professions that were once highly regarded, but now people seem to think they're a complete joke. And I mean, if I said bank teller back, 4 or 5 decades ago, bank teller was, you wore a suit. It was a big deal. Bank tellers today are like now some college kid, whatever. And most of the people don't even go to the bank anymore, right? I mean, I know it's still a profession. But
skinny 20-year-old with ear pods in and slumped down in his seat looking at his phone.
Trying to sell you their credit card.
And
trying to get you to open up a...
He pops too when you walk to his window, yes.
Yeah, exactly. Retail, people, used to go in, you'd have a salesperson there. They would really walk. I remember that was the thing about Nordstrom's as a kid. There would be a retail lady that would come up to my dad and I, and she would take me. My dad would go somewhere, and then we would just go find stuff, and then he would just come and pay for it at the end. It felt big time, but and I didn't get everything, but that was a job, and they would get commissioned. You don't do that anymore. Journalist, here's a good one. Listen, Jeff and I got into this business because we liked broadcasting. I don't know if I always wanted to be a news reporter or anything like that, but I did like the idea of getting the story, getting it out, and telling, investigating.
You still do to some extent. Not so much, but you still do to some extent. Like you like to break that news. You like to get out there and let people know what's going on. Like traffic. Like nothing makes you happier than when traffic and weather happen here on the Central Coast. I mean, it's the truth.
I don't know if that's completely accurate. I think there might be some embellishment for entertainment value. No, I don't think so. I think it's important. I think people need to know.
There is a certain gleam in your eye when people get in accidents or have their houses destroyed by weather.
Stop. There is not.
You're a Death Eater.
But it is important. Yeah, if it bleeds, it leads. But the problem is now journalists have taken this approach where they would rather make it about them or their take versus just giving you the facts of a story and letting you decide on your own. Now it's more like they have to tell you how to think, and it's totally turned me off.
I will say, okay, it's disrespected on the big level, the mainstream level. But I think it's more respected in the underground now with like podcasters and bloggers and people that you follow on X and people that are
it's tricky because you make YouTubers. A choice to go follow that person and listen to what they have to say. They're also not a journalist, all right? Or if they were, they're not acting like a journalist when they're doing it.
Wait. What makes them not a journalist?
Well,
because they didn't get a job with NBC?
No, I mean, did they study to be a journalist? I mean, there's...
So you need to study to be a journalist?
I think there's certain ethical things you need to know, but... okay, the difference between that and watching, the local news station that is owned by a company who definitely has an agenda. I mean, look into that. And then you could see it bleed through to their reporting. That is where I have a problem. Somebody wants to do a podcast.
Dude, what do you mean? Not everybody is watching the Cleveland WNBA team.
I'll tell you the difference.
Take on the Orlando WNBA team on ION?
A journalist is supposed to take a story. Somebody broke into a gas station. This is the description of the person. All right. You don't assume anything. You just go off of what you have and you report that. This is what's happening in Sacramento, trying to get this bill to pass. This is what the bill is. These are the facts of the bill. Okay. You want to go a step further? A vote yes for this would mean this. A vote no for this would mean this. That is a journalist. People on a podcast are giving you their opinion. That is not being a journalist. Unfortunately, watching journalists on network news or local news is now also become, unfortunately, not journalism anymore. It's been opinion or their take, as they like to say.
There are podcasts out there that just give you the news.
Well, I'm sure there are. I can't speak for every podcast. There's millions and millions of podcasts out there.
You have to.
Anybody can do one.
The problem is it's our consumption, and I don't know if it's social media, I don't know if it's internet, I don't know if it's access to information, I don't know what it is, but nobody is going to sit down there and just listen to the news. Everybody says they want to, but eventually they don't. They go to what they're comfortable with, and whatever they're comfortable with is what they tend to listen to, watch.
And I'll tell you, the other problem with it is we don't have a lot of choices here. We're a small market. We have one station. Now, there is a station in Santa Barbara, and there's a half-assed one in Santa Maria that really runs out of Santa Barbara. So you really don't feel like you get a choice. You just kind of watch this, and you try to get what's going on local, find out what's going to happen. But unfortunately, you get a lot of this other crap, and it's this filler crap.
Mental health?
The mental health. Oh, my God, So it's really disappointing. I watch it because I have to, because I want to know what's going on, because at least they still do a decent job of following what's going on in the community. But their take on it is like, I'm not interested in. I can make up my own mind.
I wonder how many psychologists have some kind of financial interest in Scripps News, and Scripps News has some kind of financial interest in those psychologists.
Oh, because of all the mental health stories they do?
And the WNBA.
How I read it is, they're just trying to send a message that you are so mentally unstable that you can't make up your mind. So we're going to tell you how to think.
If you're tuning in to watch the WNBA Orlando team take on the Cleveland they report on this stuff as if it's news stories. The WNBA team from Cleveland against the WNBA team from Orlando. I don't even know if those two exist, but you understand, it's WNBA. And and they're like, don't miss it tonight on ION. It's like, that's not a news story. Just like it's not entertainment when the cast-offs from Dancing with the Stars are shoved on Jimmy Kimmel. Like, nobody cares to hear about not Dancing with the Bachelor. More the Dancing with the Stars, it has a little bit of value because they're actual B-list celebrities. But like the Bachelor cast-off is the lead guest on a late-night television show. That it's all marketing. You're all being marketed to, and that's why I think the breath of fresh air that podcasts have, because they are not infiltrated with this agenda of, okay, we got to tout everything that we're doing. They just go out and they do their thing. Now, eventually, the tentacles get into those guys too, but I think it's why more people trust them.
So we're talking about professions that were once highly respected and now a complete joke. We were talking about journalists. We'll move on. Politicians, airline workers, flight attendants used to be something great. Gate agent, not anymore. Real estate agents, travel agents, and chiropractors make up the rest of this list.
What about the dipstick pilot that comes on from Delta and says, your phone interferes with our headsets? That guy, well, I believe is debunked by a Radio Shack. I believe him
because I work at a radio station, and whenever we try to do a remote broadcast and I stick my cell phone near the equipment, it starts buzzing like I'm standing next to a power line.
The problem with you is you also believe Johnson & Johnson.
I don't know. I don't believe in that, but I do believe there could be a Bigfoot. It would have been a better way to go, Jeff.
See, a lot of things.
You're a little off your game today.
Man, you take Poison's song, give me something to believe in, a little too literal.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. Open at 6 a.m. on 93.3 KZ.
Here's the question today on the Justin Stearns Assist Home Loans poll question is, Egg Nog, it's everywhere this time of year.
It is. My buddy loves it, and he drinks.
But that's the question.
He drinks it all day.
It's a poll question with a period at the end of it because it says eggnog.
And then what
everywhere.
What do the options say, Jeff?
I love eggnog. I hate eggnog. I only drink it with booze in it. I like it hot.
Yeah, some people like it hot. It's weird.
Okay. I'll be the one to be criticized on the question writing.
Oh, I think the statement makes choice. The statement that I made is a question. You don't have to be that obvious.
Okay. Well, sometimes you do. Apparently, in the 12 days of Christmas, you have to. But on the poll questions, you don't have to be. And it says question on it.
Look at you trying to be all spicy. Anyways,
I'm just saying.
KZLZ.com.
I like it spiced. You forgot I like it spiced, dude. What the hell? What about the people that like it spiced?
I don't know. Does anybody put spice in their eggnog?
I have no idea. I hate eggnog.
I hate it too.
Mine is like the consistency of it.
The sweetness
of
it.
Most disgust. It's like I've never as an adult had breast milk, but that's what I envision breast milk being like, is like that.
I want to make a bet with you right now, and if you lose, you have to down a half gallon of eggnog.
No, God, I'll die. You can't. Nobody should do that. Nobody should do that.
In 5 minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes to suck down an entire half gallon.
It makes you sick. It's too rich. It makes you sick.
No, come on.
It does.
Toughen up.
I don't like vomiting. That's why I don't drink as much as I used to.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. Open at 6 a.m. on 93.3 KZZ.
3% of Americans say they're bad at this. That means 97% of Americans think they're good at this. It's something we all do. What do you think it is?
3% of Americans think they're bad?
Only say they're bad. Only 3% of Americans in this survey said they're bad at this. 97%.
Because it's fresh in my mind from the takeover, I'm going to say is it brushing teeth.
Nope, driving a car. Only 3% of Americans think they're a bad driver. No, I'm surprised it's 3 and not 99% of people think they're a good driver. New poll asked the average driving ability of people in their state. They believe it or not, 9% of people said on average their state has excellent drivers. 12% say the average driver is poor.
I'll tell you this.
And another 5%. Did you hear the show at the end of the show yesterday? We had Rich the Bitch on. He drives a delivery truck for a living. I don't know where he was at. He started calling somebody an a-hole for cutting him off because his brakes aren't that good on his truck. Well, here's the deal, Rich. That guy doesn't know that your company didn't give you a truck with good brakes.
Well, but nobody should cut anybody off.
Yeah, but it's California. That's what we do. We cut people off. What are you talking about? If you're not doing 70 in the slow lane, you got a guy riding your ass.
This state, and I probably... God, it's so
I
crazy.
disagree. There's two things that's great about California. Cheap alcohol and drive like a maniac. I mean, I could be doing 75. I'll be doing 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, and I'll go right past the CHP, and then he'll wave at me. Hey, buddy. Hey, have a good day.
That is not consistent, though, everywhere else. It is so funny.
Like, you try that in another state? Like, go to Oregon, drive north. You're screwed if you're going over 5 over. They'll give you 5, and that's it.
That is
you're getting a ticket.
5 over. It is 5 over, and I have to constantly remind my wife of that whenever we go on
Arizona,
road trips or
same thing.
Go to other places. When we go to other places,
not as bad as Oregon,
we go to Florida or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we go to Florida often, or South Carolina. My God, people drive like snails in South Carolina. It is South Carolina and Georgia. It is like, are you kidding me? Like, the South is slow. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. It's frustrating when you do it here and then you go somewhere else and do it.
I should have made this a poll.
That tells me that, well, it's better than eggnog. It tells me that people here, are the worst drivers.
Sorry, I was drinking last night, and I was like, I need to come up with a poll question. My buddy was talking about eggnog, and so I just said, hey.
So you forgot to put the question mark at the end of it?
No, it was a statement. Eggnog is everywhere this year, and then the questions actually is, I like it all the time. I like it, whatever. But
that's not a question. It's a statement.
Do you think you're a good driver? Yes. No. I'm okay. Something like that.
Don't you have Grammarly?
Okay, stop. 47% of people in this poll said they're excellent drivers. But you know what? I'll tell you what. I'm an excellent driver. I know I am. I know I'm an excellent driver. I think you're an excellent driver.
You're a bad driver. You are a bad driver because you get on the brakes hard right before you need to.
No,
you don't coast to a stop.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out to my truck right now, you son of a bitch. I've got a 2020. I've had that truck for 4 years. I'm going to take a picture of the brake usage. The front and back, what the percentages are.
I don't know.
In 4 years, if I rode the brakes like you said, I would replace those brakes in 2 years.
So you work from home. How often are you driving?
I'm driving all the time. I drive every afternoon. Sometimes I drive 45 minutes one way to go to Costco, or I turn around and come back. Drive on the weekends, an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. I'm driving all the time. I got trust. Well, here's the thing. You can look at my truck. You can see that I've got 50,000 miles on my truck, and you can see the brakes are still 77% good.
If you
still have 77% of my brakes.
You bought that truck brand new 4 years ago, and it's only got 50,000 miles on it. That's rookie Rookie stuff. That's only like 12,000 miles a year.
Well, yeah. I mean, come on.
Why don't you just lease a truck? Were you stupid?
I did lease this truck and then I bought it. The lease only lasts 3 years. What are you, stupid? Podcast. You get all 4 hours now thanks to our friends at Team Swayze. Check out this the Slow Real Estate Podcast online.
Slow County
I knew I messed it up.
Podcast
Sorry.
with Hal Swayze.
Did you talk? I mean, you're a marketing guy. Did you talk to Hal about trying to get this to be a little bit simpler?
So
it's
here's
a lot
the thing.
of words.
I said, that is a very long title. And they're like, yeah, but that's what it is. We're talking about real estate in SLO County.
From somebody whose podcast is called Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning.
Well, we had to do that because there was another Jeff and Jeremy. So we had to call it Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning. But that's our hands were forced and theirs weren't because they were the only ones doing still are the only ones doing a real estate podcast in SLO County.
You got to be kidding me. There's got to be other guys doing it. At least some kind of podcast.
I think to some
theirs
extent,
is legit. I mean, it's a full on. They bring in mortgage guys. They bring in other agents.
Not to the regular, like release one every week.
Do they ever bring in the inspection guys that do home inspections?
Yeah.
Oh, do they? Okay.
That's a fascinating episode.
Oh, like, yeah. It'd be really good. But I didn't know if those guys wanted to be like incognito and not shown on camera. Do you have to blur their face out? Okay. They don't have to be in a dark room.
It's happened in the last, I want to say sometime in the last 20 episodes, we had an inspection guy and he was awesome because he was talking about like older homes versus newer homes and all that stuff. And he's like, actually, I find more problems with the newer homes than I do.
Older homes were well built, right? I mean, we had integrity back then. We did things.
Right.
We actually put the time and work in.
Because nowadays, we do need to make America great again.
The faster you get a home up, I mean, it's all time, right? Time is money. I mean, I don't think they quite understood that as much as they do today. And that's a lot of times when you get these housing projects or, developments or whatever, that's where it kind of scares me. So here's the thing. My guy, my friend was my agent and he's like, listen, this guy is the best. I'm bringing him all the way up 2 counties away. So he can do it. So he does the house and we get all this minor stuff. Our house wasn't that old. It was pretty new and it was really well built and you could just tell. But his biggest thing was the insulation in the attic when he got up there. Because we have a sound system in the house, and when they ran the wires to go to the different speakers, they didn't refluff the insulation. He's like, I would have this done. Like there's footprints up there. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not going to ask the people that live here to hire somebody to go up and fluff the insulation. I go, that's crazy. But he missed the hole behind the door. So the bedroom door doesn't have one of those stoppers. And somehow it could have been when they moved out. I doubt it. In the bedroom door, the master bedroom, there's a little tiny circle hole in the sheetrock. And he missed that. He didn't even have it in his report. We move in and we see it. And my wife's like, oh, my God, I can't believe, we paid this guy and he didn't even see this. And then my friend told me that's the agent. He said, well, here's the deal. They look at structure. They look at, things that could, what's beautification called? I forget. Whatever that third term is called. And that's just, like what a house would look like if there was a crack in the plaster or something. Whatever that's called, but not beautification, but you know what I'm saying. Because that's usually the lowest on their list. So I go, yeah, but you think, if you wrote fluff the insulation.
So you should have hired Greg Terry from Terry Home Inspection. He was on the August 1st episode of the SLO County Real Estate Podcast. So you can go back and find the August 1st episode. And yeah, it's fascinating. Actually,
it's also fascinating discussion.
He's been doing it since the late 80s.
What you really ask a seller, let's say you're buying a house and you're asking a seller, you get the inspection done. What are you going to actually really ask them to do? Like, there's certain things, of course, you're going to ask them to do. Like, he found there was a vent fan that runs under the house that circulates the air under the house. Supposed to be a good thing. There wasn't a cover on it, so we asked them to buy a cover and put it on there. Well, they had the cover; it was in a closet somewhere, so they fixed that. But what do because I always felt like I'm not going to ask him to fluff the damn insulation, even though the guy told me to.
So,
but what do you do? What do you
honest to God, the takeaway from that episode with Greg Terry from Terry Home Inspection on the SLO County Real Estate Podcast, the takeaway was you as a seller should probably just pay for the home inspection to be done up front so you can present it, because the way real estate moves around here and how it's probably going to start moving with the rates starting to come down, it's going to be like that. It's going to trend more towards that, pandemic type, like multiple offers on a house type thing.
Right.
You have an inspection ready.
So you have all your ducks in a row. You're ready to go.
So
you don't lose
people can look at it.
The buyer.
And you do it with a reputable inspector.
Right.
You look at it and you're like, okay, they have the home inspection already ready. We're ready to make the offer and go with it there.
As a buyer, I'm like, do I trust them? I don't know them.
That way, termite, all that stuff. Get that stuff done ahead of time.
I go to my agent and go, do you know this inspector?
Yeah.
I mean, is he good?
And you know what?
He's good.
Honest to God, inspectors, because the people that we bought our house from, I asked my agent at the time. I said, hey, have you ever heard of this company that did a home inspection? Because they did it 5 months prior. And she's like, no, I haven't never heard of them before.
Okay.
And I decided to roll the dice, which has worked out for 4 years. It's fine.
See, I don't know. All right, so
I paid him $100. I paid him $100. He came over and went through the house with me. And
you saved a lot of money, because I know ours costs like 4 times that. I think. Because
the sellers did the inspection prior to doing it, because they knew they were going to sell their house. So they had it all in a binder. I went through the binder. I'm like, point these things out to me. Tell me what I need to do to fix them.
I got you.
And then that way
it wasn't a full inspection.
Offer.
You were just going off of what they had put down, and
right, because he just did the inspection. You know what? 12 weeks beforehand.
I understand what you're saying now. That's pretty smart, especially for somebody who's not an expert on houses.
It's a huge benefit for the buyer,
and you learn a lot too. All right, so the Slow County Real Estate Podcast. That right? That's the name of it.
With Hal Swayze. But pretty much if you type in Slow County Real Estate Podcast.
Slow County Real Estate Podcast with Hal. And then I have to spell his name right.
All you have to do is type in Slow County Real Estate Podcast and it'll come up.
Okay. But it's Swayze. Looks like Sweezy. Looks like Sweezy.
Yes.
But you say Swayze, like Patrick.
Yeah, like a Patrick. Yeah,
okay.
Rest in peace, Patrick.
And our podcast.
No relation.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. Jeff and Jeremy.
No relation, because it's spelled different.
Jeff and Jeremy in the morning. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to the podcast on Google, Apple, YouTube by clicking on Jeff and Jeremy at KZOZ.com.
Jeff and Jeremy in the Morning podcast brought to you commercial free by another podcast. You've subscribed to ours, now subscribe to theirs. It's the Slow County Real Estate Podcast with Hal Swayze. When you're done with this, go listen to something that will actually enrich your life. California DRE 01111 911.